Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Welcome to another live lesson. Lady Khadija radiallahu anha, may God be pleased with her online college. A live lesson in A-level maths, year 2, pure maths. And today's topic is recurrence relations. That's where a sequence is made from numbers that feed into the next number. So the number, whatever answer you get in the sequence, feeds into the next number. Chapter 3, if you're following through the book, it's the Edexcel Pearson UK A-level maths book, pure maths, and it's examples 19 and 20 if you're following through with the book. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. So when we're looking at sequences, we can sometimes have a sequence where we're taking one number and whatever answer we get, we're then using that to get the next number. This is a very simple example. Here we're taking the number 10 and we're adding 2 to get the next number. And then to get from the 12 to the next number, we take the 12 and we add 2. So if we call the general term un, then what we're saying is that, and that's a little n, what we're saying is that we can get the next term, the next number along in the sequence, that's called un plus 1, by taking whatever we got just now, un, the number we're just getting now. So for example, here we're at 18, so un would be 18. How do we get the next number after the 18, the un plus 1? Well, in this really easy example, we're just adding 2, so we would just take whatever number we're at, and we would take the answer for that and add 2, so un plus 2. So this is called a recurrence relation, where whatever answer you get can then feed into the next number. So if we do that, so if we take 18 as the number we're currently on, 18, that would be our un, and then we add 2, that would give us 20. So we can say that the next number along in the sequence would be 20. But then we don't have to stop there. The beauty with this formula is that it'll then allow us to go to the next number because we're just going to repeat back. So now the 20, which was this answer, can now feed in to the formula again, and we can say, right, now we're at 20, so we can say un is 20, and then we just follow the formula, add 2, and that tells us that the next number along in the sequence would be 22, and just keep going. So we can, it's a kind of loop where we follow through in the formula, and then whatever answer we get can then loop around and go into the sequence formula again. So let's try looking at example 19. So this is the actual formula. The formula isn't too complicated, but you've got to start to get used to seeing it written and understand what it means. So it's saying un plus 1. In other words, the formula to get the next number in the sequence is equal to un, as in which that means the number in the sequence that you're currently looking at, and then plus 4. And that will get you the next number in the sequence. But that is really no good unless you know at least one number in the sequence. So they normally tell you one number in the sequence, and in this case, they're telling us that u1, the very first number, is equal to 7. And the question is to form the sequence. So let's put that here. So we're saying u1 is equal to 7. So the first number in our sequence is 7. How do we get the next number? Let's feed it into the formula. So the formula says to get the next number in the sequence, you take the number you're currently looking at, so that's 7, and you just add 4. And that would be the next number in the sequence. Since we're looking at the first number is 7, then the next number along would be U2. So we're saying that this is a formula for U2. 7 plus 4 is 11, so now we can say the next number along would be 11. Okay, and then the third number, how are we going to get the third number? We do the same again, but this time feeding in the 11. So we're saying that to get the third number, the next number along, we take the number we're currently looking at, which is 11, and we add 4, and that gives us 15. So our next number along is 15. And we can just keep doing that and keep doing that, and you'd end up with the sequence of numbers. So hopefully nothing too complicated there. Okay, let's move on to, if that's the general concept, let's move on to a more A-level type question. So this one I'm going to have to just paste onto the screen. So it's example 20 from the book, and there's quite a lot there. So let's start with taking all of that. And you want to take a good few minutes just to take a look at the wording of the question and try to figure out, can you understand what it's saying? How is the sequence being built up? So they're saying that the sequence is not called U's, but it's called A's, and that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we change the letter, it's still a sequence. So the very first number in the sequence, A1, is equal to P. So P is a number that we don't know, so that's why it's called P. Then they're saying to get the next number in the sequence, we can work it out by doing the following. Take the number in the sequence that you're looking at, square it, then take away 1. And this will work as long as you're looking at positive numbers in the sequence. So you're looking at the first number or the second number or the third number. This won't work if you want to try and get the 0th number in the sequence. That won't work. So that's all the n is bigger than or equal to 1 is saying. Not too important. Here, this bit is important. It's saying where p is less than 0. So that means that when we try and find out p a bit later on, then if we're given a couple of possibilities, we've got to choose the one that means that is less than 0. P is less than 0. That fits with that. Okay, so let's try and build up this sequence. So we've got A1 is P, so we can say the first number or letter in the sequence is P. Okay, what about the next number then? So that would be based on the P, we have to feed that into the formula. So the formula is here. So let's take a copy of that and let's work with that. So this is saying that if you want to get the next number in the sequence, in this case it would be A2, because that's the first, we've already got the first number, so we're looking at trying to find out the next number, which is the second number, A2. Then we take the number that we're currently looking at, so that would be P, and we square it, then take away 1. So that's easy. That would just work out to be P squared take away 1. So we can say our second number in the sequence is P squared take away 1. And then can you try doing that with the next number? We want to try and get the third number in the sequence. So we're going to start with the same formula, but you try substituting in now P squared minus 1 for where it says AN. So the next number in the sequence is, we're on the second number, so the next number is going to be A3. The third number in the sequence will be equal to the current number in the sequence, so that's the second number P squared minus 1. And we're just going to have that in brackets squared. And then close the brackets, squared, take away 1. So if we expand that out, then we're going to get P to the power 4 plus 1, and then take away P squared, take away another P squared. Maybe that's a little bit fast for you because I didn't do the working out. So let me just reverse that and just show you how we get that. The squared here means I've got the bracket twice. So I'm going to write p squared minus 1 twice. And then it's just your expanding brackets from GCSE. You shouldn't get stuck on that. So if I just go down a bit, or maybe move that up a bit, then when we expand that out, hopefully you've done it by now, but we get p to the power 4, take away 2p squared, that's the p squared, minus p squared minus p squared. I've just simplified that in my head, plus the 1, then minus the 1. The minus 1 comes from here. Plus 1 minus 1 will cancel out. So I've got p to the power 4 minus 2p squared. So that's your third term, p to the power 4 minus 2p squared. And you could go on and on. You could then take the p to the power 4, take away 2p squared, and then substitute it back into the formula to get the next number. Okay, let's take a look at the questions now. We've got the idea of what the sequence is about. So question number 1 is work out A3, and hopefully our answer will match their answer, which is p to the power 4 minus 2p squared, which is exactly what we've got. So we've done that. And as long as you've got your working out there, you'll get full marks on that. The second one is given that a2 is equal to 0. So given that the second number in the sequence, this one here, that it works out to become 0, find the value of p. So we can say that all this is saying is that p squared minus 1 would be equal to 0, and then we can solve that as an equation. P squared minus 1 equals 0. Try solving it. See if you can do that. I'm just going to add 1 to both sides, so that makes p squared equals 1. Next step, you've probably understood, is the square root, so that means p is equal to the square root of 1, which is plus or minus 1. There's two answers to square roots. But remember, p has to be less than 0, so which one are you going to choose, plus 1 or minus 1? Or that, you're going to have to choose the minus 1. So p is equal to minus 1. And we might as well fill in the sequence now. So if p is now we know is minus 1, so that's your first number in the sequence. The next number, p squared minus 1, works out to be 0. Think about that. Minus 1 squared, that's 1. Take away 1, that's 0. And then see if you can work out the next one while I do it in my head. Okay, so the p to the power 4 works out to be minus 1 times minus 1 times minus 1 times minus 1. That would be 1. Take away, and then 2p squared. I've got p squared, which is 1, times 2, which is 2. So take away 2. 1 take away 2 is minus 1. So the next number along would be minus 1. So what you notice is that it's just going to become minus 1, 0, minus 1, 0, minus 1, 0. You're trying to spot a pattern here. So based on those first three numbers, you can straight away tell what the pattern is. The minus 1 then is followed by 0. 0 is followed by minus 1. And then minus 1 has to be followed by 0 because it was followed by 0 there. So that's your number in this, that's your sequence. And then typically the next question is find the sum. So here is find the sum of all the numbers in the sequence, starting from the first number in the sequence to the 200th number in the sequence. So here you have to really think about it. There's no real formula. You just got to try and make it easy for yourself by knowing that the numbers aren't too different. It's always minus 1 or 0. So there's 200 numbers in the sequence. That means minus 1 will come half the time, and 0 will come half the time. And because there's 200 numbers, then minus 1 will come 100 times, and 0 will come 100 times. So the minus 1s will add up to minus 100, and the zeros will add up to 0. So your final answer would be minus 100. Okay, and then the final question, write down the value of A199. That's the 199th number in the sequence. Notice that it's a 50-50 chance of getting this right just by guessing, because it's either going to be -1 or 0. The numbers in the sequence are not anything apart from that. But you don't want to lose a mark here just by guessing and getting it wrong. So what you want to spot is, well, what's the pattern? If you look at, this is the first number, that's the second number, that's the third number, that's the fourth number. So what you notice is that the second, fourth, basically the even positions are always 0. A199 is an odd position, so it's going to be one of these numbers here. So it's going to be -1. Okay, join me tomorrow for more work. This time we'll hopefully move on to the next chapter, inshallah, God willing. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.